Wife wants an abortion after planned pregnancy, how should I react to this? Throwaway account for obvious reasons and I'm sorry for the rant. Me and my wife has been together for 8 years and married for 4. We have a 3-year-old son who is the love of my life. The first year after birth was harsh to say the least. Colic, lack of sleep, moving and the death of my father-in-law, an event we're still recovering from and which has left some mental scarring on my wife. But we powered through and out. Marriage has been great for a long time. About 6 to 7 months ago we were driving home from my mother-in-law and decided we were ready for another child. This was a very sweet moment and the following months were fantastic and our relationship were almost better than always. Becoming pregnant was not as easy as we had hoped. My wife became incredibly disappointed every time it didn't happen. One time she said that it would be a huge disappointment if we never got a second child and she did everything in her power to improve the chances of getting pregnant. About 5 weeks ago she finally had a positive pregnancy test and my wife was ecstatic. She took pregnancy test every day for several days and even went to our GP to confirm it with a blood test. We talked about names and planned our future together. 10 days ago my wife didn't get out of bed and said that she felt unwell. Later at work I got a text from her where she wrote that she felt awful and didn't want to continue with the pregnancy. I told her it was just morning sickness and hormones messing with her head. Things got worse over the next days and she would hardly get out of bed all day and didn't react when our son wanted attention, which is very out of character. She kept saying that she had changed her mind and wanted an abortion. I repeated that it was just hormones and that I thought she really wants this child. We even went to an early ultrasound which was normal. I felt warm and happy when I saw the heartbeat, but my wife said she wanted to throw up. Things have escalated over the last few days and we've had ugly arguments where we both broke down crying. I had to call in sick on a 2-4-H shift just to make sure our son was taken care of. She keeps insisting on having an abortion and I have said that she is sick, that I'm worried and that she needs help. I've said some things which I regret. Once I asked if she was psychotic because her logic didn't make any sense and I also asked her not to kill our child. I apologized quickly for the latter and said I misspoke, but the damage was already done and she has used it against me several times afterwards. I called our GP today, while my wife was still in bed, to make an appointment. My wife rushed out of the bedroom, snatched the phone and yelled that our marriage was over. We managed to get an appointment and our GP referred us to a psychiatrist. Our GP didn't think my wife was mentally ill and didn't prescribe any medication. She said this should be handled by a professional psychiatrist. We sat down and talked when we got home and my wife said that she was even more determined to go through with the abortion and felt disappointed in the way I have handled the situation. That I have ignored her feelings, calling her sick and even been mentally abusing her and trying to manipulate her into not having an abortion. She also thinks our relationship is beyond repair because she will never be able to trust me again. I disagree with my wife. I have told her constantly that I love her, that I'm worried and that she needs help while she has been using me as a mental punching bag. I've convinced her to talk to her mom, which is one of the few things which actually have helped. I have also done all the housework and taking care of our son, which has been adding to the exhaustion. I love her, our family and the child she is carrying, and I am completely heartbroken. I can see that she is in pain and just wants me to support her through an abortion, but I can't bring myself to say yes, even though I probably would. She asked if I could forgive her if she had an abortion and I said that I had to think about it, to which she responded that my answer told her everything she needs to know. I'm generally pro-choice and has told her several times that it's her body and that I can't stop her from having an abortion. My mind is completely melted. Everything was fine 2 weeks ago and we were looking at houses where we could raise our family, and now I'm about to lose everything. Does anyone have any advice on how to handle this situation? Edit 1. I have been asked to tell my wife's reason why she changed her mind. She basically said that she haven't been able to feel like herself after our son was born. She has regained some feelings of herself over the last months and is worried that she will lose herself again. We have talked about this and we are in a much better position than we were when we expected our son, with better economy, support, and work situation. comment. This is the only sensible answer. Everyone is trying to paint OP in a horrible light. Her changing her mind so drastically is a sign of something not right. Could be she never wanted the child, doesn't seem likely based on the post. Could be she changed her mind. But it also could be a mental break or illness. No matter the reasons for changing her mind, she needs to communicate that with her partner. OP doesn't understand why she doesn't want it anymore, and that's the issue. Either she needs to lay out exactly why, or see a therapist to put words to her feelings and communicate those feelings to him. OP, for not being more understanding, OP's wife, for flipping the script so quickly without a reason. They need to talk it out. This could be a depressive episode, or it could be a solid-minded decision she's unilaterally making for their relationship. Yes, it's her right to abort, but it could cost both of them and their son a stable homestead environment. Continuing a pregnancy when she's clearly struggling, and then bringing a baby into this, is such a bad idea. She might not get better and then she will have a crying newborn to take care of. To me, her mental health has to be the priority. If she's saying she can't handle it, even after she thought she could, he needs to listen. I'm not neglecting that at all. I'm more concerned about her having a baby she is not mentally able to care for. Extremely concerned actually. If she aborts and her marriage ends, that would suck, but there are endings to this story that are far worse, and that's where my mind is. You are correct. If she is experiencing prenatal depression and aborts, it could send her directly into PPD/PPP. I went through a very bad episode of prenatal depression, probably as bad if not worse than OP's wife. If I would have aborted, I know without a doubt I would be in the funny farm or would have offed myself. This is a very tricky place to be in. What endings are worse? Best case scenario, they divorce because OP can't handle she killed his kid, and based on what he's saying here, he's probably gonna have a great case for custody because her mental health is in question at this point. So she loses everything, he loses everything, the kid they do have loses his parents. How is this good? Something went really wrong with the mom and I need a doctor to check it out. Your wife went from ecstatic, picking out names and planning for the future of your family, after months of being devastated when pregnancy didn't happen, to abortion, in a very short amount of time. And somehow, as much as Reddit loves to throw around PPD, it seems no one wants to mention the just as medically popular prenatal depression. You were right to be concerned that something might be wrong, but you were wrong in how you handled it. Kind of struggling with how many comments are brushing over your wife snatching the phone from you and yelling at you that your marriage is over because you called a doctor, but hey, that's the quality of Reddit when it comes to these issues. You've done all that you can do. The decision is hers, you need to make yours. I'm about as pro-choice as they come, but if you make me go from picking out baby names for a pregnancy we planned, to abortion, I will fully understand your reasoning being that you don't want to and you changed your mind, but I didn't change my mind and I would be done. I'm sorry, but that's not true. Abortion of wanted, planned for baby in a marriage is not something OP has to choose to support his wife for or try to help happen. If it's a deal breaker for him, then he could leave. He can't force her to stay pregnant, but he doesn't have to support or facilitate it. If my husband I spent a long time trying, had numerous discussions about wanting a baby, and then he changed his mind, I would be done with him. And yes, it would be my body, so my choice, but men have a right to be upset about an abortion too, and it can be a deal breaker for them too. Story 2. My wife and I disagree about a medical procedure. I'm scheduled to have my IUD removed, and ever since I scheduled the procedure, my wife has been racked with anxiety. The IUD really needs to be removed as I'm overdue, but it doesn't have strings visible, so it's a bit trickier. My doctor prescribed me misoprostol for opening the cervix and some Valium to make me more comfortable. However, my wife has been super anxious about me mixing these drugs with my normal medication. We've checked with multiple pharmacists and my doctor, and they've all said there's no interactions. She's also afraid, after reading some published case studies, that misoprostol can trigger cardiac problems in otherwise healthy young women. Obviously this is rare, but as we all know, medicine doesn't care to do as much research on women's health. I've recently been to the cardiologist because I have some family cardiac history and wanted to get a baseline. My EKG was normal. We called to ask and the misoprostol is optional. They'll still be able to get the IUD out without it. The whole procedure should only take 2 minutes. Based on my wife's concerns, I was willing to forego the misoprostol as long as I could have some Valium to relax me. But I've never taken either medication, so I don't know how I would react. Obviously also Valium would impair me from driving. My wife is out of practice driving and doesn't feel great about driving me to or from my procedure. She's also said she's been feeling a very specific type of anxiety regarding the medications, almost like a premonition, that happens before something very bad has happened to someone she knows. Like a relative having a heart attack or a friend dying. Or sometimes it was just a close call and they were fine. Now I could just suck it up and be in pain for 2 minutes for the duration of the procedure, and probably somewhat afterwards. But I have a long history of gynecological pain and I just wanted something to be easy for once. The IUD insertion experience was in the top 2 most painful experiences I've had. Both gyno-related, both triggered vasovagal reactions which left me unable to get up for an hour. But I would probably be able to drive home if I rest in the car for an hour or 2. Anyway, at this point I just don't know what to do. This has been a huge source of stress between us for weeks. Like I genuinely know she has my best interest at heart and wants me to be okay. That's how she's always been in the 5 years we've been together. I would still like to be able to take some medication to help, but I also want to respect my wife's feelings. How can I navigate my past pain and desire to take some medication with my wife's anxiety? Comment. This is your medical procedure and you need to do what makes sense for you. I had a horrid time getting my IUD inserted and I definitely think you should take all the meds as prescribed to make this easier on you. Your GF needs to get a grip. Order an Uber. Wait for you in the waiting room and accompany you home. And if she's so sideways that she can't be of help, tell her to stay the fuck home and have a friend help you. Your GF is literally asking you to be in more pain to assuage her irrational concerns. That is nuts. You absolutely are. Anxiety is a cruel mistress. It's absolutely miserable. That doesn't make it okay to insist on control over someone else's, a loved one's, medical decisions. Doubly so when the end result will be to their detriment. Anxiety can cloud your knowledge and logic, but in my personal experience it's one of the mental illnesses least likely to do so. A lot of the time, almost all of it, really, I know what the correct thing to do is, even when I can't make myself move past the anxiety in order to do it. Or that the thing I fear may be in the dark hallway is not real, even while I can't look away from the door. Odds are that she's aware that she's asking you something that will literally hurt you, and potentially damage you, but is just incapable of pushing past the but what if. If that's the situation, it's not her fault that she feels these things. But attempting to then put that onto you anyway is not okay. I don't know whether you have discussed having children. If you have, please hold off until she has this under control. This level of medical anxiety in a parent can be actively dangerous to a child. To be quite honest, she has to suck it up. This isn't about her, it's about you and your comfort. If you have a friend or family that would be able to drive you guys, or you could take an Uber together so that you aren't medicated and alone with a stranger. Maybe plan to stay in a hotel close by, might be overkill but it's an option. In the nicest possible way to your wife, her anxiety is hers to manage, not yours. At some point you may have to tell her you are making your own decisions about your medical procedure and care and you won't discuss it further. Honestly, I don't see there is any benefit to either of you in continuing the conversation, if she is going to be putting her anxiety on you regardless of what you do. Let me see if I'm following. She thinks you should go through a painful gynecological procedure completely unmedicated because she's uncomfortable? She's not even the one who would be at risk for this heart condition thing she's trying to use as justification. Most people would be absolutely over the fucking moon to get something to relax the cervix and relax the mind. Your body, your choice applies in every situation. This is your body and your comfort, not hers. If your healthcare professionals and doctors say it's fine, then it's fine. Does she have OCD or serious anxiety? These ruminating thoughts for her don't sound healthy, especially as she is projecting it onto you too. She really has no say in what medication a doctor sees fit to give you, especially if she's not a doctor or a nurse herself, which it sounds like she's not. You don't even need to tell her what you're being given. In the UK, unless there is a specific reason for not giving a drug, e.g., narcotics to ex-addicts or any health issues, you aren't usually involved in deciding what drugs you're given for procedures.